But with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to the NBA All-Star selection and the rosters being announced. And we'll go ahead and start off with the starters, I guess, because the list I'm looking at is just all wonky. But for both Eastern Conference and Western Conference, of course, you have LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo as your starters and your captains. Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Zion Williamson. But those last three guys will be replaced by Joel Embiid, John Morant, and Lauri Markkanen. And then you have we'll go ahead and go. We'll do starters and reserves.
I said in the beginning, my starting five was going to include John, Lauri. So those guys, they got included. That's the five that I was looking for the West is here. And same as for
my thing is, I wouldn't even have Ja as a starter. Wouldn't even be my starter.
Who would you put?
It would either be Dame or SGA. It would have been, especially Dame. Like, Dame since the new year has been crazy. Like, what the Dame since the new year started, I don't even know what his numbers are. He's averaging like 33 plus. This guy Dame has been on ridiculously good. I feel like
I don't know. I think Ja was going to be the next up if Curry was not going to play.
This doesn't make. I don't know. Steph wasn't even my starter in the first place.
I felt at the same time for me coming into January and after what they said about we not worried about anybody in the West, it kind of teetered down. They went on a little losing streak. I think they won like 2 out of the last 9. It's kind of been bad for them, so I get where you come from at the same time.
It is, to me, isn't even just like them losing. I think Dame has just been crazy. Like, I feel like Dame, and then of course SGA has just been, his floor is just crazy. This guy's been a 30-plus player every night since he's been playing since the start of the season, and like he's literally just been consistent as can be. Just keeping his team afloat, keeping them close to the play-ins, and then with regards to Dame, I mean, this guy's been doing everything for the Blazers, and of course they're still losing, but he keeps them in playing contention. So I feel like one of those two guys should have been my starter, in my opinion.
Yeah. I was actually going to disagree with you, but then it kind of makes sense because, it's not like John Morant was named the starter to begin with. It was Steph Curry, so it's just pretty much a replacement. Yeah. You could have put anybody in that spot. But I kind of understand where the NBA was coming from with this one, simply because, with the Memphis Grizzlies being the second best team in the Western Conference right now, sitting at the number 2 seed, it just makes perfect sense to just slide in their starting point guard as a starter and replacement for Steph Curry. But obviously those guys, SGA and Damian Lillard, of course, those guys could have easily taken Steph's spot as well. But I think John Morant's just the most fitting in the eyes of the league. But I don't necessarily have a problem with these starters. I think we were pretty much right on the head with these ones. We had Joel Embiid coming off at the bench, and we had our disagreements between Zion and AD, but I think we leaned towards Zion starting. So I think we got it right on this one. But I think the reserves is kind of where the discussion starts, because you have Bam Adebayo, who made it, Jaylen Brown, DeMar DeRozan, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, Julius Randle, and you have Pascal Siakam, Anthony Edwards, De'Aaron Fox, Paul George, SGA, Jaren Jackson Jr., Damian Lillard, and DeMontis.
We'll start
Sabonis.
with the East, man. We'll start with the East. I want
to ask y'all something. Y'all think Brunson deserved a spot on the?
I think one of the Knicks deserved it. I think one of the Knicks.
Randall made it, right? But
yeah.
I feel like at the same time as though, like, Brunson really deserved a spot. Even without, even with Randall in the consideration, him making it, I still feel like Brunson deserved a spot in that East. That point guard category, the way that guy's been playing since.
There's just no way Drew Holiday should have made this. I don't care what anyone says.
I just don't see Drew Holiday. It's crazy. I don't know where Drew Holiday came from or not. Even with the way Brunson's been hooping since December, the way his team been winning, the way he's been carrying, it's crazy to me that he got snubbed.
There's about 2 guys that I disagree with on the Eastern Conference reserves list. One being Drew Holiday. That's the obvious. That's the elephant in the room. And 2, DeMar DeRozan.
Yep.
I just don't think he was worthy enough of an all-star position this year. Last year, he had a very, very strong case, an undeniable case. The Bulls were like a top 2 team going into the break, and he was having an MVP season. So I understand that. But now with the way the Bulls are shaping up right now, with the way they're playing, it just didn't make any type of sense to have a guy from the 11th seed right now to make the all-star reserves. Jalen Brunson was more deserving. He's obviously, I don't understand why they didn't even consider James Harden in that discussion. But
I don't even think he's gonna, like, if Jaylen Brown because Jaylen Brown, he has the facial fracture or whatever. He potentially might miss out. I don't even think they'll still consider James Harden. It doesn't matter. Like I'm sorry,
hope,
you're right.
I hope Harden. I hope Harden and what's his face Brunson don't want to show up. Like, just take that week-long vacation. Just, Marshall and relax. Don't even come to the All-Star game.
No, because it's a disgrace though. Like, how does the guy who's averaging 21 and 10 on the third best team in the East not even be considered to make, like, that's just ridiculous. That's a travesty, man.
I just don't understand how Drew Holiday made it, man. Like, coming out of Milwaukee, I understand they're a top 2 team, but I mean the reason why they're the 2 seed is because of Giannis. Let's just be honest.
I give Brook Lopez a little more gas than Drew Holiday, to be honest, this year.
Yeah, Brook Lopez he's in the race for Defensive Player of the Year, so we'll give him his respect. But in terms of being an All-Star, there's only one true guy, and then maybe a second guy in Chris Middleton. But Chris Middleton, he's been in and out of the lineup this entire season, so there's just no excuse to put in a guy like Drew Holiday into the All-Star game. Like, the Sixers and the Milwaukee Bucks are relatively close, and I do believe James Harden did deserve a spot. And I'm not too sure if he'll end up getting in this week, depending on Jaylen Brown and his status. And I know DeRozan is still injured as well, but I don't necessarily mind the rest of the list, though. I think Tyrese Halliburton, well-deserved. Bam, of course, that was a no-brainer. Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, we knew one Nick was going to make it. And then, yeah, Pascal Siakam, he was going to be a replacement for KD, and that's pretty much it. But other than that, I don't necessarily disagree with this one. But when we move to the Western Conference, though,
there's something that sticks out like a sore thumb. We don't have to use we know who it is. Like,
offensively, we put up the same stats offensively.
Sticks out like a sore thumb.
Like, I mean, this is All-Star Weekend we're talking about, man. We want to see all the best athletes, all the best NBA players play in one game for fun and be competitive. But come on, man. What are we doing here putting Jaren Jackson in the mix, man? Jr., man. Come on, man. I get it.
Defensively, yes. Defensively, this guy has been phenomenal. He has an argument to be Defensive Player of the Year. Fine. We'll give him that. No problem. Are we going to throw Nick Claxton in the All-Star game now? Like, what is this? Like, what, 16 and 7? 16 and 8?
He played 30 more minutes than AD. AD was averaging 26 and 11, and he didn't get in, and it's wild. I feel like this Jaren Jackson, this Memphis guy, man. I used to be a big Memphis fan, man, but now I feel like I got to go against them. I don't like this, bro. The way they play,
he did not deserve to make it at all.
He don't.
And there's another guy on the list that didn't deserve to make it, in my opinion, as well. Paul George.
Yeah, PG too. I don't know where he came from. This guy missed 20 games this year. He's been a pedestrian half the time. I'm not gonna lie to you, and he made it too.
Like, Anthony Edwards should have comfy made it as a reserve. Comfy. Even if he's in a replacement, he should have comfy made it as a reserve. De'Aaron Fox should have made it as well. It's just PG suddenly a shooting guard, and now he gets man, that's just ridiculous, man. De'Aaron Fox and Anthony Edwards should have easily made it, especially Anthony Edwards with how he's been playing. I don't care if he's a replacement; he should have been a reserve easily.
I mean, when we had this discussion when we talked about the Sacramento Kings, if they were going to be able to get 2 All-Stars to go from the Kings, being if they're, I think what are they sitting at right now? The third seed. The third seed. It's well deserved. It should have been a no-brainer that both those guys should have made the All-Star game. But I just don't understand. This is kind of like when I think Jared Allen made the All-Star game last year. Like, come on, man. Nobody's trying to see that. Nobody's trying to see Jaren Jackson in the All-Star game. Like, we respect this guy for his defensive presence, and ever since he's gotten back from his injury early on in the season, he's been on a tear defensively. And people can make a case whether or not at home his stats are inflated, and on the road it's just not good. But regardless, this guy's a very, very good defensive big man, but just not All-Star worthy. And I just don't understand why the Memphis Grizzlies were able to get 2 All-Stars in, but the Denver Nuggets weren't able to get 2 as well. Only Jokic was the only guy that made it out from there. So if I just believe these guys, the NBA as a whole, the guys who vote for these people and put these guys in the All-Star game, they just lack consistency. It just doesn't make any sense because the Denver Nuggets, they're the only team to be the 1 seed with only 1 All-Star. And it's only happened twice, and it's happened to them a couple of years ago when Jokic made it, and it's happening to them right now.
If we're gonna bring up Jamal Murray, who's Jamal Murray? Who's he making over?
No, even if it's not Jamal Murray, even if it's Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, we're not throwing Aaron Gordon.
My thing is it shouldn't My thing is like it should just be the best players from the best teams. Like Anthony Edwards has literally been averaging 28 since like January. Like this guy's been 27, 28 since January. De'Aaron Fox has been one of the most clutch players in the entire NBA, if not the most clutch player, arguably the most clutch player in the entire NBA. He has his team as a 3rd seed. He's been playing amazing. Both of them should have comfortably made it. There's no reason why Jaren Jackson should have even made it in the first place. I just don't see the appeal in him making the team. Like it doesn't even make any sense to me. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean he's just gonna be out there for about, give him like good 7 to 12 minutes, and that's about it. Because what is this guy gonna do in the All-Star game? Chuck up threes and try to block shots?
Play him like 25, 30 minutes. You know, I need LeBron rested up. You know, I ain't gonna lie.
But I can't lie, man. There's like a lot of injuries. A lot of guys that I might potentially set out for this All-Star game. You have Joel Embiid saying that he's hurting. Giannis just went out to tonight's game with the wrist injury.
I don't like this risk management shit, man. I feel like it's getting taken a little too far.
I mean, guys are banged up though, man. You just got to be safe. And
man, Kobe, man. We talk about Kobe playing with a broken finger, a messed up wrist, and messed up knee, and he's still hooping. Like he wasn't missing a day, he wasn't missing a beat. We were going back to the 2008, 2009, 2010. These guys weren't missing games at all. They were going through injuries, playing, hooping. Even Bron, he wasn't missing a day either. But now I feel like this little management thing. Kawhi sitting out every other 3 days saying my knee hurts, and then coming back and then sitting out again. And he's about to finish the season with like 35 games played. It's kind of embarrassing if I'm paying almost $185 million for a top guy like that.
I mean, you gotta think about it this way though. I mean, those franchises are looking at it like, yo, the regular season doesn't really matter. As long as we make the playoffs, give ourselves a great chance.
That takes a whole lot of interest away from the NBA though. Where's the competitiveness?
No, for 100% it does. It makes the league watered down, and like a lot of big games that are nationally televised aren't necessarily big games anymore. Like, I mean, the Warriors and Clippers last night, a lot of guys were injured. They're out. The Lakers, when they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis in street clothes, it's not going to be entertaining basketball. But
basketball at all.
But I mean, I guess it is what it is from that perspective. But to see guys like Lauri Markkanen, crack the All-Star starters list, and guys like Anthony Edwards to be a replacement, still you make the All-Star game, one way or another. Good for him. And De'Aaron Fox, SGA, and then of course Damian Lillard with the tear that he's been on. So I feel like, we might see a couple more replacements going into All-Star weekend due to these injuries that have been happening.
All-Star weekend starts tomorrow, man. What it look like?
It's just gonna be interesting to see. But overall, I think we got our picks kind of close to right. I would probably say like 8. I'll give us 80% for our All-Star predictions this year. So.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and now Lake, now that's overkill.